Hey YouTube, Kira Twig here, bringing you all an update to my Ice Jade Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile for post-Cyberstorm access. We got the new Ice Jade Ran iGreen in the latest Yu-Gi-Oh! Booster Pack, a really awesome additional tuner to the deck that counts as becoming Ice Jade C-Note Enneon Cradle, or the field spell, while it is equipped as an equip card, giving you more of a setup for the main playstyle of the Ice Jade deck, which is to go into your boss synchro monster, and then also set up the additional equips that you can use with your many different Ice Jade cards, and the sending of your many different ones from your hand to the graveyard to get out plenty of different special summons to go for plenty of plays for synchro summoning from your extra deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So we'll go ahead and we'll start off with the main deck for our Ice Jade monsters. I'm running 3 copies of Ice Jade Tremora. With this card, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to special summon 1 water monster from your hand. If a face-up water monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish this card to special summon 1 Ice Jade monster from your hand or graveyard except for Ice Jade Tremora, and you can only use each effect of Tremora once per turn. So you have the option to have the special summon play from your hand to get out one of your bigger Ice Jade monsters. Since a good majority of the Ice Jade monsters are high-level monsters, you can easily use this as long as you have another Ice Jade monster in your hand to summon out with Tremora, and then just having a resource to then special summon back from the hand or graveyard except for Ice Jade Tremora when one of your other ones on the field is destroyed. So it's just a setup card on the field to allow you to do all of your different plays for summoning out your Ice Jade monsters. I also run 3 copies of the new Ice Jade Ran iGreen. With this card, its name becomes Ice Jade C-Note Enneon Cradle while equipped with an equip card, and you can discard 1 other Ice Jade card or water monster, special summon this card from your hand, then you can special summon 1 Ice Jade token onto the field, level 3 with 0 attack and 0 defense, and while that token is in the monster zone, the player who summoned it cannot special summon monsters from the extra deck except for water monsters, and you can only use this effect of Ice Jade Ran iGreen once per turn. So it gives you the level 10 play right then and there for your Ice Jade Ran iGreen to summon out your go-to extra deck boss monster, being your Ice Jade Gamir A-Green, the level 10 water synchro that you can summon out with your Ran iGreen being a level 7 tuner, and then just being able to use the level 3 Ice Jade token that you summoned out onto the field with the additional special summon. And then we're also running 3 copies of Ice Jade iGreen, a level 3 non-tuner aqua monster. If this card's normal or special summon, you can add 1 Ice Jade spell or trap from your deck to your hand. And when your opponent activates a card or effect that targets this card or targets this card for an attack, you can activate this effect. The next time this card would be destroyed by battle or card effect this turn, it is not destroyed. And also special summon 1 water monster from your hand or graveyard, except for Ice Jade A-Green, but return to the hand during the end phase. You can only use each effect of a green once per turn. So you can even use a green with your new Ice Jade Ran iGreen to go for the level 10 synchro summon, since this is a level 7 tuner and a green fits the role of the level 3 non-tuner on the field as well to summon out as just an easy search, as well being able to add an Ice Jade spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So you can even add cards like Ice Jade Cradle, which then just give you the additional search to add another Ice Jade monster from your deck to your hand. I also run 3 copies of Ice Jade Cosmoclore. If you want to do adjust, there's 1 other high-level Ice Jade monster you can replace for Cosmoclore in the deck and put in an additional copy of that card if you wish. It's player preference there. It's just with Ice Jade Cosmoclore being a monster, if a card is face-up in the field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand, and you can only special summon Cosmoclore once per turn this way. And while Ice Jade C-Note Enneon Cradle is on the field, monsters your opponent control can only activate their effects the turn they are summoned, and if your Ice Jade monster battles an opponent's monster, that opponent's monster loses 1000 attack during damage calculation only. So if you have your Ice Jade Ran iGreen and it's equipped with a monster on the field, you'll count this card as the field spell, so you can have the additional option for you to get the additional play for the monster effect activation of your opponent's cards with Cosmoclore on the field. It's an easy special summon onto the field, as well as just an additional resource to make use of, just needing that field spell in the field zone for you to use it. And then for the last of the 3 ofs for the Ice Jade monsters, 3 copies of Ice Jade Creation Aguro Casis. While this card is equipped to a monster, the equipped monster gains 400 attack and defense for each banished monster. You can only use 1 of the following effects of Ice Jade Creation Aguro Casis once per turn, and only once that turn. If this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can quick effect target 1 Ice Jade monster you control, equip this card to that monster, and while it's equipped to that monster, you can special summon this card. So this is the main way to get a card equipped onto your Ice Jade Ran iGreen. green, being able to then have the equipped onto it, and then counting it as being a field spell, being the Ice Jade, C-Note, and Neon Cradle on the field. And then just being another additional special summon onto the field as a level 7 water tuner along with your A green. For some of the lower numbers for the Ice Jade monsters, I also run 2 copies of Ice Jade Octi. If this card is normal or special summon, you can send 1 water monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw 1 card, and if a face-up water monster you control is destroyed by battle or card effect while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card to special summon 1 Ice Jade monster from your hand or graveyard except for Ice Jade Octi, and you can only use each effect of Octi once per turn. So you have the send and setup for your Ice Jade creation, Aguro Cases, to set up in the graveyard to then equip onto a monster on the field while it's in the hand or graveyard for that play. And also 1 copy of Ice Jade Tanola for being able to send 1 card from your hand to the graveyard to target 1 water monster in your graveyard. Send this card from the field to the graveyard to special summon that targeted monster. So then whichever card you sent to the graveyard for that setup with your Ice Jade Octi, you also have the special summon play to special summon that monster back onto the field with Ice Jade Tanola. You have the cards like Ice Jade Tremora to give you a special summon of your Ice Jade monsters in your hand, and then the additional search with some of our spells, which we'll go into right now with our spell cards. We're running 3 copies of Ice Jade Cradle. Add 1 Ice Jade monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from the cards you control or in your graveyard. So as long as you have this card early game, you can get a good amount of different monsters to summon out onto the field depending on which Ice Jade you want. So if you open up 1 of the first Ice Jades like Tremora, you can discard for the special summon of another Ice Jade in your hand, and then just have a different target for your Ice Jade Cradle on the field for you to add from your deck to your hand from those different names you already use. But you want to have different named Ice Jade monsters anyway to add to your hand and use then the ones you already possess in your graveyard or on the field. I also run 3 of the field spell, the Ice Jade C-Note and Neon Cradle. This is the card that your new Ran I Green can take the name of for a card while it is equipped with a monster on the field. But we still run 3 of the field spell regardless. When this card's activated, you can add 1 of your Ice Jade monsters that is banished or in your graveyard to your hand. And once per turn, if a monster is normal or special summon except during the damage step, you can target 1 water monster you control. That monster, along with any face-up monster your opponent currently controls, loses attack equal to the targeted monster's original attack until the end of this turn. You can activate 1 Ice Jade C-Note and Neon Cradle per turn, but it's the recycle power and then just the additional play effects that you can use with cards like your Ice Jade Cosmic Lore, and then also just being a card that you need in the field zone to be able to special summon this card as a resource onto the field also. I also run 3 copies of Ice Jade Manifestation. With this spell card, if you control a water monster and your opponent has a monster on the field or graveyard, take 1 Ice Jade monster from your deck and either send it to the graveyard or special summon it in face-up. And if a face-up Ice Jade monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's card except by being destroyed and except during the damage step, you can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 of your card your opponent controls and banish it. So this is more of the aggressive spell playstyle that you can use against your opponent as well, being able to then just have the resource for your opponent having a monster on the field, and that water monster, which most likely is going to be an Ice Jade monster, taking the Ice Jade monster from your deck, setting it up or special summoning it, and then also just making it so you can have another way to get rid of your opponent's monster when one of your own Ice Jade monsters leaves the field. I also run 2 copies of Ice Jade Curse with this continuous spell. While an Ice Jade monster and an Ice Jade C-Note and Neon Cradle are on the field, your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters that were summoned that turn, and when a monster is destroyed by battle involving your Ice Jade monster, you can target one of those destroyed monsters and inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. And you can only use this effect of Ice Jade Curse once per turn. So this card can completely shut down your opponent's plays, especially, once again, just going off of the new and just very important monster that we run in the deck, the Ran I Green, because you can have this card and then just equip it with your go-to Ice Jade monster, the Ice Jade Creation, Aguro Cases. And then with this, you have the Ice Jade monster and the C-Note and Neon Cradle on the field, so your opponent just can't activate the effects of monsters that were summoned that turn, which can shut down a good number of cards that your opponent may need, because then they'll have to keep that card on the field in the following turn for them to reuse it again, which by then you could just summon out another monster while keeping this one on the field and then get rid of that card. I also run the 2 copies of Moray of Avarice. With this card, banish 1 face-up fish, sea serpent, or aqua monster you control to draw 2 cards. So if you have multiples of the same Ice Jade monster in your hand, you can at least banish the monster you control on the field and give you an additional draw thanks to your Moray of Avarice. Just with the majority of all of our Ice Jade monsters being aqua monsters, you have a draw 2 to then just give you more resources into your hand to special summon out other Ice Jade monsters onto the field. And then for the 1-ofs for the spells, 1 copy of Foolish Burial. This can set up your Aegiroccasis in the graveyard for you then to equip onto your Ice Jade monster. Monster Reborn is just another resource grab from the graveyard. Call by the Grave for shutting down your opponent's cards. Terraforming for searching out the Enion Cradle. And then just 1 additional Harpy's Feather Duster for destroying your opponent's back row, because along with the lockdown play that you can use with Ice Jade Curse, if you get rid of any of the back row they may be trying to use against you, it can be a complete shutdown for your opponent with this card. And then moving on to the traps, I run 1 copy of Ice Jade Erosion. With this continuous trap, you have the play. You can target a face-up card your opponent controls, destroy 1 Ice Jade monster you control, and if you do, negate the targeted card's effect until the end of this turn. And if a face-up water monster you control leaves the field by an opponent's card, except for being destroyed, except during the damage step, you can add to your hand or special summon 1 Ice Jade monster from your deck, and you can only use each effect of Ice Jade Erosion once per turn. So you have the play of just making it so if your opponent tries to get rid of any of your monsters by any other means aside from the destroyed option, you have your Ice Jade Erosion to then be able to just special summon back an Ice Jade monster resource from the deck onto the field. With the last of the traps that I run in the deck just being 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence, I kept the good majority of the monsters in the main deck water attribute to be able to use with one another for the easy special summon setup. So I just wanted another card that I could use if my opponent does go first against me and I open up this card while controlling no cards on the field to activate and negate a monster effect on the field. And then moving on now to the extra deck, I may run 2 copies of Ice Jade Gamir A-Green. You need a water tuner and 1 non-tuner monster. Quick effect, you can activate this effect. Face-up monster you control cannot be destroyed or banished by your opponent's card effects this turn. Then you can activate the effect in response to your opponent's card or effect activation. If your opponent has a card with the same name on their field or graveyard, you can banish those cards. And if a card is banished by your opponent's card effect while this card's in your graveyard, except during the damage step, you can special summon this card. So this makes it so your opponent has to think of other ways to get around your Ice Jade monsters, since your Ice Jade Gamir A-Green can just stop your Ice Jade monsters from being destroyed by those effects. If you have Ice Jade Erosion, it's just an added resource on top of the Gamir A-Green that you have out on the field because of it. Being a level 10 synchro monster, it's also quite easy to summon out thanks to our Ice Jade Ran A-Green and either the level 3 token or any of the other level 3 monsters we can use to go for this synchro play. I also run 1 copy of Psyframe Lord Omega for the additional banish play, 1 Borreload Savage Dragon to work with our Link monsters, 1 Navy Dragon Mech. Since we are locked into waters, I thought this high-level water monster, could be a good level 9 option. And the 1 Baron de Fleur for the additional monster negate and destruction of a card on your opponent's field with this card also. And then just being able to shovel it back into the extract to summon out a monster onto the field. A level 9 or lower monster gives us a plethora of different Ice Jade monsters to summon back with it. And then for the Link monsters, I run 1 copy of Miss Starboy, 1 Area the Water Charmer Gentle, 1 Marincess Coral Anemone, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Nightmare Cerberus, and then for the higher Link monsters, 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn, 1 copy of Apollosa, and 1 copy of Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. With our Xyz monsters, not going into them often, but 1 Baguska and 1 Zeus. You can even put in the additional copies of Ice Jade Gamir A-Green if you wanted to take out these Xyz monsters for more copies of her. As for some of the go-to plays in the deck, with, once again, our main focus being the 1 new card we got from the Cyberstorm Access Booster Pack, being the Ran A-Green. With this card becoming C-Note Enion Cradle while equipped with an equipped card, you can discard 1 other Ice Jade card or water monster to special summon this card from your hand, then being able to special summon that token additionally as well. So if you just have your Ran A-Green and your Aegiroccasis in your hand, you can discard 1 other card with this card to special summon this card from your hand. And then with this card, you summon it on the field, setting up the Aegirocasis in your graveyard. And then you get the token on the field as well, which you can then use with the 2 on the field to summon out your Aegirocasis for the equip onto your Ran-I Green, which then, if you do that, you can summon this card on the field and then use this level 7 tuner to go with the level 3 token you have on the field to summon out your Ice Jade Gamir A Green while keeping your Ran-I Green still on the field as an additional equip to use for your play, and then being able to have your monster re-equip the following turn to use the effect of your monster as well. So with this card having the additional effect, it is a once per turn for each effect, so you have to do it the following turn again. But then it all depends on what else you may have in your hand for that setup. You have the Enion Cradle play if you wanted to keep just this card equipped onto your Ice Jade Ran-I Green, because then you have the field spell additional bonus. But if you open up the actual field spell, you could always just keep that there and then have the 2 monsters be either the setup with your level 3 token and the Ran-I Green to go into this monster, and then being able to equip your Creation Aegirocasis onto this card for the additional attack boost. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed. We keep getting support to go along with the, Albaz storyline for the Ice Jade monsters, which were also a big part of the story as well, with a little bit of cards here and there. It definitely is making for a pretty awesome deck to try and put together. And as always, until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Twig out.